Hello everybody and welcome to part 5 of My Hero Multiversity. If you haven't seen the previous episodes in this series, you can always check them out. There's a link in the description below and the annotation above to that. As always, if you enjoy the series, please like and share, and if you happen to be new around here, please subscribe. In the previous episode, the heroes were keeping the villain's side at bay, barely managing to do that, while All For One and his team of scientists broke into a Chronosapien time vault and stole a Chronosapien time bomb. The heroes managed to defeat the first wave of villains, but the villains summoned more. Outside of the vault, the quirkless version of Midoriya finishes defeating Toga and Dabi using a combination of many different fighting styles and gadgets he learned along the way. He then runs into the Chronosapien vault. Inside the vault, All For One grabs the Chronosapien time bomb. He opens a couple of rifts with a couple of different items falling through them all. The annihilation, the ultimate nullifier, the quantum eigenstate device, and a set of blueprints and a bunch of tools. All For One says, "Now get to work, you two." Taknus and Dr. Ujiko then start assembling the new weapon. Quirkus Deku quietly and carefully walks through the vault, locating the villains. On the way, he places a couple of sound relays to distract the villains if so needed. All For One hears a sound and goes to investigate. He says, "Eon, keep the doctors safe." And he is led away from them, from his team, from the villains, by Midoriya. Outside of the vault, in the main battlefield, the heroes are having trouble dealing with the new wave of Nomu robots. Gen Rex Deku says, what was your name again? Peter. Do you have any more of those sound things? Peter evades a couple of Ultima Nomu, hitting a normal Nomu and jumping away. He says, "No, I used all of them on the previous wave, sorry." Todoroki, the version that has one for all, walks back into the main battlefield, dragging his evil self, who is unconscious now, with him and dropping him on the ground. As he does, Bakugo finish off his evil counterpart, and so do the Midoriyas. Peter says, "Perfect! Bakugo, Todoroki, how about a little heat?" All Might then crashes through a building, crashing into Todoroki. 3 versions of All For One, All Might, go after them, wanting to attack All Might. Midoriya and Izuku jump in the way, smashing 2 of them away, and Bakugo throws a huge explosion at the 3rd. They then rush to fight them. All Might gets up and says, "Are you alright, young Todoroki?" Todoroki says, "Yeah, fine." All Might asks, "Mind lending a hand then?" All Might and Todoroki then go join Izuku, Bakugo, and Midoriya against All For One. The heroes in the battlefield are pushed back. They start losing ground, not being able to defeat all the Nomu, and the Ultima Nomu are way too strong. Miro comes out of the ground, having defeated Shigaraki, smashing at one of the Ultimas with full power, but that Ultima barely flinches. Miro says, "Oh crap!" A portal then opens behind the group of heroes. Paradox says, "As an old friend used to say, it's hero time." Ben Prime jumps out of the portal. This one is around 1 year after the events of Benton Omniverse. He hits the Omnitrix and says, "Echo, echo." He multiplies, making a wall of sound separating all the symbiotes from the Nomu. Kevin Levin, Lucky Girl, and Rook then step out of the portal. Ben turns back into himself and asks, "What now?" Paradox says, "You, Benjamin, have to go help young Midoriya to deal with Albedo. I have to go face Eon. Good luck." Ben says, "Good luck to you too," and turns into Accelerated and races through the battlefield looking for Albedo and Midoriya. While this was going on, Albedo shoots Ultimate Humongosaur's missiles at Omnideku. Omnideku switches from Humongosaur to Accelerate and runs around evading the missiles. Albedo turns into Accelerate before going Ultimate. The Ultimate version seems like more of an enhanced version, having more armor, some spikes in the tail, and more around his body. He has the ability to go a lot faster than the regular version and even slow time a bit. Albedo slams into Omnideck with high speed before rushing at him, wanting to hitting him with his tail repeatedly. Omnideck gets a moment to catch his breath and switches to Big Chill. Albedo tries to hit him but fails. He then turns into Ultimate Big Chill, freezing Omnideck in place. Omnideck switches to Heat Blast, burning the ice around him. Omnideck then shoots a blast of fire at Albedo. Albedo turns into Ultimate Heat Blast and overwhelms Deku with his fire power. Ben Prime arrives at the scene and turns into Water Hazard, shooting a lot of water at Albedo, giving Omnideck the chance to hit him. Albedo says, "Great, another version of him with the Omnitrix." Ben turns into his regular self and says, "Not quite." Omnideck returns into his regular self and asks, "Ben?" Ben says, "In the flesh. The hero of the century." Albedo says, "No matter who you are, you have no chance of defeating me." Ben says, "Oh, but I know who you are, Albedo. The not-so-smart Galvan." Albedo gets angry. He turns into Ultimate Wrath and charges at Ben. Ben says, "Time to kick this guy's butt." Midoriya says, "I'm right." They both hit the Omnitrix. Ben turns into Eye Guy and Omnideck turns into Gravitat. Omnideck uses his gravity abilities to pin Albedo to the ground. Ben says, "I see your plan," and shoots laser beams at Albedo. Albedo tries to fight through the gravity but can't escape. He then turns into Ultimate Gravitat, changing the playing field, and throws both of the heroes away as they turn into their regular form. Ben gets back up and says, "Can you go way big?" Omnideck asks, "What? Who?" Ben says, the big guy with the horn." Omnideck says, "Got it." And he turns into way big. Albedo says, "You think you can beat me with size?" He then turns into Ultimate Way Big, towering over the regular Toku star. Ben says, "I saw that coming." Ben hits the Omnitrix, turning into Armadillo. In the main battlefield, the heroes start turning the tides of the battle again, since the Nomu no longer have the symbiotes. Inside the vault, Quirkless Deku manages to get All For One away enough, leaving him away in a wild goose chase, using the sound relays to get him further away every time. And starts a conversation with him through the microphones. All For One seems confused as he can't seem to find Midoriya. Quirkless Deku has been planting small microphones throughout the facility as he ran away and ran into it, and now makes his way back to the main lab. In another room of the vault, the one where the Chrono Sapien time bombs are kept, Eon asks, "How's it coming?" Dr. Ujiko says, We're close to completing the device." Paradox shows up and says, "I'm afraid I can't allow you to do that." Eon says, "Time Walker." He summons an energy sword and slashes at Paradox. Paradox grabs his staff that was on the ground and blocks the attack. Well, more like a staff, it's a pipe, but it's still pretty resistant. They both start battling, kind of fencing, and leave the room in the process. Quirkless Deku then arrives at the main room and attacks Dr. Ujiko, taking him down in one blow. He goes to attack Decnus, but a small fight ensues. Quirkless Deku says, "I can't let you finish that machine," as he grabs a device, placing it on Technus' shoulder while jumping over him. Technus says, "But it's already finished." Quirkless Deku pushes a button and Technus gets electrocuted into unconsciousness. And Quirkless Deku says, "I got that trick from Kaminari." He then grabs an explosive, but before he can even place it, All For One hits him in the back, knocking him out. All For One grabs the ultimate annihilator, that's what I'm calling the machine that they built, and says, "Your tricks were clever, I'll give you that much, but you probably should hide your microphones a bit better. The moment I realized they were there, I came back here, assuming that you were sending in a wild goose chase." Back outside the room, Paradox and Eon keep fencing until Eon manages to get the best of Paradox, managing to cut his right hand off. Paradox falls to the ground in pain, blood coming out of the arm. Eon is about to finish him off, but gets a beep on his communicator. All For One says, "It's time, Eon." Eon says, You got lucky, Time Walker. But you do get to see the ultimate destruction of everything. Outside, All Might and the other 1A for All students managed to defeat the copies of All for One. All of them having their hero suits mostly destroyed from the battle. A gust of wind runs past them in slow motion. Overclock, who managed to escape the John and Speedster Deku, starts running away from Speedster Deku trying to escape. Speedster Deku says, "You won't get away that easy." Overclock says, "Won't I? Your friend already fell behind a couple miles ago. It's only a matter of time before you do too." Suddenly, in front of Overclock, John rushes in the way, blocking his path. Overclock tries to maneuver a way to evade without giving his enemies a chance to catch him, but it allows Speedster Deku the chance that he needed to catch him. Overclock is pinned to the ground by Speedster Deku and says, and Speedster Deku says, "Good luck getting away again." Overclock says, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Speedster Deku asks, "Why not?" Overclock's arms start bubbling up and an explosive charge is activated. Jun rushes in, pushing Speedster Deku out of the way and taking most of the explosion, although enough of it did blast Speedster Deku to knock him out. As Overclock's arm starts growing back, John says, "Nice trick, but it won't work on me." John then punches Overclock in the head, knocking him out while pinning him to the ground. And he goes to check out Midoriya before returning to Speedster Deku before returning to the main battlefield. In the main battlefield, not many enemies are left, but most of the heroes are exhausted. Nova Deku blasts repeatedly at Nomu, trying to take him down. He manages to defeat him. Half Ghost Deku punches Nomu, but from behind him another one rushes in at full speed, turning his arm into a spear. Nova Deku sees this and rushes in as fast as he can, blocking the attack and getting hit in the stomach, the spear going right through him. All the remaining Nomu see an opening, and smelling his blood, rush towards him. Some are taken down on the way by Nightcrawler, Genrex, Deku, John, and Peter. And Nightcrawler does manage to teleport Half Ghost Deku out of the way, who turns back into his regular form and kind of passes out. However, 12 Nomu did get to Nova Deku. They hit him repeatedly before his eyes start glowing white, and Nova Deku whispers with his last strength, "Die!" And a huge ball of light is created. The light dissipates, and all that can be seen is a dead Nova Deku, surrounded by a bunch of defeated Nomu around him. Peter, having a mostly destroyed spider suit, says, we won." He then falls to the ground exhausted, with Null Deku unconscious on the floor next to him. He lies there for a few moments before getting back up to rile the troops together. Peter says, all those who aren't too badly injured, let's go, we have to finish this." Peter, Mirio, Nightcrawler, Kevin, Lucky Girl, and Rook, and 3 other versions of Midoriya, along with Todoroki, Bakugo, John, and All Might, walk towards the vault. In another part of the battle, Albedo, being ultimate way big, gets knocked to the ground by Ben using Armadillo to destabilize the ground. Ben says, "The bigger they are, the harder they fall." Albedo is knocked unconscious by the fall, turns into a red version of Midoriya. Ben says, "It's weird not seeing him as me at this point." All for One and Eon teleport to Earth Zero from the main vault, a world where powers don't exist. A mostly normal Earth, very similar to ours. All for One puts the ultimate annihilator on the ground and says, "Time for our plans to finally be set into motion." He opens a couple of rifts and his allies then fall through them, dropping into the ground in this new world. All for One programs the device and then activates it. On every other Earth, excluding the one the villains are currently on, everything starts being deleted from existence, with Earth always being ground zero to that annihilation wave. Anyway, that's where I'm leaving this part off for today. What's going to happen next? The big conclusion. Turning on Thursday to find out. If you enjoyed this episode, you all know what to do. And until next time, everyone, have an absolutely excellent day.